ba.
Could I have some corn on blow?
Sorry,
The
sir.
lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
Hello, people of Wisconsin and the world. We have a little less than a minute until we begin today's edition of the Todd Allbaugh Show.
I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system that where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
Trivia tied up on a call. If he gets loose from his being tied up, he'll join us at 12:30.
Sounds good. Got a little less than 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our fantastic producer and engineer, Mr. Zommers, Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. It's a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day?
That's right. We have reached midway, folks. Zommers, why does it feel like Friday today?
It does and it doesn't.
It's been that kind of a week already, but, you know, we're here. We've made it to the middle of the week. It's fantastic. Little clouds in the sky here at the world headquarters in downtown Madison, Wisconsin. Weather across the state, at least in kind of the southeastern third, maybe draw a line from Green Bay to Madison and then everything kind of south and east of that. Maybe some slushy accumulations. No more than 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches at most. A lot of places less than that. Temperature is a little bit cooler today. Front's going to come through. And tonight into tomorrow morning, some slushy accumulations there. But, you know, it's April in Wisconsin, and they're saying maybe 70 by Sunday and Monday. So there's that. Big show today. Looking forward to it. Trivia Olson, our ongoing contributor, our friend, senior advisor at the Lincoln Project, will join us on or about 12:30. Trivia is a little tied up today, he said. And not in a good way. So Trivia will be here at the bottom of the hour talking politics and also Green Bay Packers. Mark Murphy, of course, retiring after this year. The Packers. Now, how is this, for example? Because we hear a lot of times in politics, there should be term limits, which I am for. And then recently, because of both Joe Biden and Donald Trump either being or approaching octogenarians, 80 years old, people are saying, you know, maybe there should be a point where we just say there should be an age limit for serving in government, particularly at the federal level. Well, the Green Bay Packers are way ahead of that. They have in their bylaws that the president of the Packers organization may not continue on after the age of 75. And believe it or not, Mark Murphy turning 75 this year. So this is last year. He's on a tour, as they often do with the Packers, kind of their winter tour. They're going to be in Madison tonight. Tickets are $75 if you want to go to Garver Feed Mill. And I just got word now that Civic is bought us a couple summers. So that's nice of them, isn't it?
Indeed it is.
It's not true, but it would be nice.
Yeah, it will.
But I'm sure Mike Clemens, our great sports reporter Mike Clemens, has been at some of these around the state of Wisconsin. And it's a great thing where people can come out and meet the Packers. And so Mark Murphy has done a lot of news, and we're going to talk with Trivia a little bit later, who, of course, is a Packers owner. What is Mark Murphy's legacy as he leaves the Packers organization after this season? So we'll talk about that. Lots to get to in news. A little fun as well. Remember that show we did last year in Appleton at the home of the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers?
I sure do.
One of our best shows, I thought.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a great lot of fun. And the Timber Rattlers started their season this year. Of course, they're one of the field or farm teams for the Milwaukee Brewers. And if you've never been to the Timber Rattlers, get yourself there because it's a great stadium, a great environment, a heck of a lot of fun. And they put out a thing on social yesterday with many, and a lot of these guys are not from, most of them are not from Wisconsin. And so the Timber Rattlers put in front of them, the players, different Wisconsin city names and said, say that. And it was a good time had by all. It was a lot. So we got that clip, and we'll listen to the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers a little bit later, pronouncing Wisconsin names. Going to talk a little bit about the tariffs today as well, immigration and ICE, and much, much more. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. But before we get to that, and I was on Pat Kreitlow's show this morning, Up North News Radio, and I talked about this. So I thought we better talk about it on our show as well. So I went to the grocery store last night. Groceries, an amazing old-fashioned word, isn't it? People
Means different things in a bag together.
making fun of Donald Trump, of course. That's an actual quote from him, if you don't know recently. He thinks groceries is an old-fashioned term.
And he keeps saying it over and over like he did with Hannibal Lecter.
Well, because he's never bought a bag of groceries in his life. I'll guarantee you. Never happened.
If he has, it's only some handler walked him through it to say that he has.
I don't
That's
believe
the only way.
So he doesn't think people buy groceries anymore, Trump. Anyway, I went grocery shopping last night. And so as I'm checking out, there was a lovely young Girl Scout. It's that time of year. And she has a great voice for radio. You could hear her across half the store. And every time somebody would be walking out at Metcalf's, she would say, "Hello, would you like to buy a box of Girl Scout cookies to help our fund?" Very, very polite. And so and the funny thing is, I actually treated myself and I bought a small little thing of cookies at Metcalf's so I didn't really need any cookies.
So now you quadruple dipped on cookies.
But I felt guilty, of course. And so I stopped, and she was there with her mother. And I said, "Well, what do you have to sell? Do you have my favorite Thin Mints?" And by golly, she did. So I said, well, put a box of those on there. And then they had I'm holding these up for those watching on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I said, oh my gosh, they got the lemonades or the lemonades, whatever they call them.
Those are good.
The lemon coke. I put, well, it's a better deal if you get 3. I said, okay, fine. And so I got some of the trefoils and it's the sugar cookies. And so I got those. And then I'm getting ready to check out. And she says, "Would you like to donate a box to veterans or those in nursing homes?" And there's people around me. And I don't want to be the guy who says, "Oh, I'm not going to help out veterans in nursing homes." So I said, "Sure, fine." And so by the time I'm done, I'm 4 boxes of Girl Scout cookies into this, and I'm $25 down.
I mean, but there's no such thing as a bad box of Girl Scout cookies.
No, it's just that my waistline does not need them all. And
yeah,
so
neither do I.
I brought them in. And so after the show, for those listening in Madison, I'm putting a sleeve of each of these out in the kitchen, and people can enjoy them back there.
This is going to take a lot of self-control.
But God bless the girl. She was a great salesperson, and she got me. I'm soft-hearted when it comes to that, because I remember as a kid not selling Girl Scout cookies, but trying to raise money for, I don't know, like UNICEF and church things.
Like I sold popcorn with Boy Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. I did a lot of band candy bars and pizzas and all that kind of stuff. My mom always said, "Just tell me how much." It would be easier for me just to write you a check than to go through all of that. But anyway, I've got, if you see the Girl Scouts out there at your local grocery store or wherever, help them out, because it's a good cause and it's a great organization. So help out the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, Brian in Milwaukee texting in says, "Think about the good deed you did in supporting the Girl Scouts."
Well, I'm very happy I'm able to, but it's just, I was like, okay, $6. All right, $12, and I'm $25 plus down by the time I leave. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly into the phone lines. David, out in beautiful San Francisco, where I left my heart, is on the phone. David, thanks for joining us. What say you?
Oh, hey, Todd. Yeah, with the nice win of the Supreme Court Justice, one of the things that I'd like to see come out of, whether it's local Supreme Court or the national one, is the resurgence or the restatement that the social contract is real. It's been almost 1,000 years that the Magna Carta has existed. And the social contract is when the king is supposed to look out for every sparrow. The king is supposed to look out for the subjects instead of just milking them and kicking them to the curb. And when you think about 100 years ago, when King Leopold invaded Africa and decided that the 15 million people in the land that he conquered were not citizens of Belgium, that they were basically his property, and he could do with them as he pleased, he basically was trying to figure out a way that he could get rid of the social contract. And when you think about Mussolini, who was jealous of King Leopold and invented the corporate state, which superseded kings, where the king is supposed to look out for the subjects, but the corporations don't have any obligation to look out for the people.
Right.
And so what we're looking at right now with Trump is he wants the corporations to have free reign, to never look out for the citizens, and that the citizens are then disposable for the needs of the corporation. Right. So I'd like to see the Supreme Court deal, whether it's a state Supreme Court or the federal, I'd like to see them reassert that the social contract is real, and that whether it's kings or corporations, the taxpayers, the people of a nation have, they have rights, and they have the right to self-preservation, and that corporations cannot just kill them with, whether it's poisonous food or pollution or economic corruption, that we, the people, have more rights than corporations.
Appreciate the call. Thanks, David. Interesting David brings that up because that's kind of where I wanted to ease into today with people, corporations, but these tariffs now. And this is just getting ginned up throughout the day here. Headline now, China and the EU, the European Union, hit back in a showdown with Donald Trump. It's the final countdown. Well, not maybe not the final countdown, but it's the showdown with Trump and the European Union. And of course, we talked about this yesterday, that all of this stuff, when it comes to tariffs and the economy and whatnot, it is all self-inflicted wounds by the Trump administration on its own country. And so when we come back, I want to play you a couple of cuts because this is really great. We're going to hear from I didn't even know this existed, the Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America.
FUTURA.
Yes. Everything has an association, right? So we're going to hear from them and talk very specifically, because I think a lot of people think, well, I'm not buying stocks. Or do you buy tennis shoes, sneakers, running shoes? Most of us do. I don't know. Mine kind of depends on how much I change out different footwear. But mine last generally 2-ish years. If you're in the market for footwear, you might want to get on it right away because the prices are going up. Talk about tariffs, how it affects us here in Wisconsin. Trivia Olson will be along as well. And Frank. It's the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media. It's Tony Bennett.
Yes.
How could I mess that up? Tony Bennett and Frank.
Line Shot Social Club.
I need more to eat, I guess. I don't know.
Casual dining, indoor
You got a bunch of cookies right there.
Right, I know, that's the problem.
Cocktails and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's east side. Line Shot Social Club. Open to everyone. LineShotSocialClub.com.
This is Chad Spade for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In the April 1st spring election, Susan Crawford won the incredibly expensive race for Wisconsin
I have
Supreme
a new
Court.
message in my
And
chart.
she didn't just win, but won decisively,
What?
gaining
I have a new message in
55%
my
of the
chart.
vote,
Oh,
a
really?
10-point margin ahead of her opponent, Brad Schimmel. It is a remarkable victory. And in so many ways, this race became a referendum on Elon Musk, from his prominent position in the Trump administration to the tens of millions of dollars he put towards backing Brad Schimmel in this race. And Wisconsin voters spoke decisively, rejecting Musk at this critical moment. All 72 counties in Wisconsin shifted to the left from last fall's election. That includes Brown County, home to Green Bay, where Musk held a rally just days before the election, handing out million-dollar checks. The sweeping results we're seeing are going to send a powerful message that will resonate nationally. Wisconsin voters spoke loud and clear, saying, "We cannot be bought."
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation Area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 now past the hour of 12 noon on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Zommers at the board, Todd at the mic. You all across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. Trigby, I can say his name right. Trigby, that's his name. Olson will be here at the bottom of the hour. Busy guy, tied up a little bit right now, but we believe we will hear from Trigby a little bit later this hour. Right now, want to pick up on something we talked about before the break. The tariffs, the Trump tariffs, which now China and the EU are even fighting back harder. Prices going up like crazy already. And I know that people think, well, this doesn't really affect me. Fair. Because, a lot of this is just very high level stuff. But here's the deal. It's going to affect all of us. Very short order, by the way. And last night on with Jim Shishuto on CNN was this guy, Matt Priest, who is the head of Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America. Didn't even know they had an association. And here in very real terms on CNN last night, he explains what these tariffs are going to mean for you and me.
Spot here, but just ballparking. If a $100 pair of sneakers costs $100 made currently, whether it's in China, Vietnam, or Indonesia, if it was made in the U.S., how much would that pair of sneakers cost?
$300 or $400 easily. Yeah. In fact, we've even just looked at the tariffs coming into place tonight at midnight. A $150 pair of running shoes will be $230, right? And that's coming from overseas sources without U.S. labor.
Tariffs.
That's just with the tariffs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Folks will feel that. Matt Priest.
They will.
$150 to $230 at least. And again, I've talked about it on this show. I worked retail for a while, was a manager at LL Bean. Great company, by the way. They're not unlike any other major corporation. And during COVID, when at the start of it, when it hit, we got word from on high that we had to start marking up shirts and pants by $10. And the corporate line was, well, it's COVID and the supply chains are we can't get stuff. And one of my coworkers who worked in retail for like 25, 30 years, he said, all this stuff has been sitting in the warehouse for months. So, the fact was we weren't marking it up because that particular product cost the company more. We were marking it up because the company said, whoa, we can do that now.
And because other things cost more.
Oh, sure.
And so they raised the price on everything.
Right. So it's not going to be any different this time around. Only instead of COVID, it is the self-inflicted Trump tariffs who are going to make everything increase in price.
How much could a $2 carton of egg cost? Oh, easily $15.
Right. So I just want to make sure people understand this. We've talked about it on this program before, and I don't want to create a panic, a stampede out there. But if you really need something, if you say, well, look, my car, I was planning on buying a new car in 2025 anyway. I had a major piece of equipment in my home that I know I'm going to have to replace in the next blank months. My advice, based on listening to people who are smarter than me, if you can afford it and you're able, do it now. Even if that piece of equipment is made in America, because the chances are, A, many of the parts or materials, i.e. steel or other things, are manufactured elsewhere and brought in and assembled in the U.S., or, like in my example, even products that are made in the USA. Look, it's all transactional, folks. It's all business. Businesses are going to say, look, the price of our competitor made outside the U.S. went up 75%. We'll mark our stuff up 30% because we're still cheaper than the outside country stuff, but we can make money. So if you really need something right now, if you can, buy it now. Tony watching on YouTube says, better yet, do it 4 months ago. Well, yeah, that too. You'll recall, a lot of people laughed at me, and that's fine. I said back in October, look, I'm going to stock up on, because I thought back then, that Vice President Harris was more than likely to win the election, and I thought there would be a lot of civil unrest because of that. And that would also cause shortages and supply increases. And so I said, look, I just feel very unsettled. You do you. I'm going to stock up. And I did.
No matter who won, there was bound to be some degree of turmoil.
Right. And because Trump won and the voters who person lost were more restrained, there wasn't much civil unrest. But now, and again, the insanity, the craziness of this is that it is all self-inflicted. None of this needed to happen. None of these trade wars needed to. I don't even like the word trade war because that assumes like the other side was partially responsible. They're not. They're just not. I want to play. Do we have time for the Rand Paul cut, Zombers? We're up against the clock on that. Maybe a little bit too much, huh? We can play. All right, here's Rand Paul, a senator from Kentucky, a Republican, explaining the craziness and the truth about some of these tariffs as it relates to dairy. Here's Rand Paul.
We have to start from talking about the truth. One of the things they say with Canada is, there's a 270% tariff on dairy products going from the U.S. into Canada. Well, you know what the real tariff is? 0. That's a big difference between what the truth is. So there's a certain amount of goods, dairy goods, that go to Canada every year, and they go at 0%. If we exceed a certain amount, there's this ridiculous 270% tariff, but we've never encountered it. And the USMC renegotiated it and raised the level that's under 0. Trump should be congratulated for USMC raising the amount of dairy that goes in at 0. But we have to have an honest debate. We can't go around saying that there's a 270% tariff when that's not really the truth.
All right, so did you catch that? That's Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. And I give him props. He said, we have to tell the truth on this stuff. That the Trump administration is saying, well, we had to put these big tariffs on Canada because, there's a 270% tariff on dairy products into Canada. But we've never reached that. We've never exported so much that those tariffs have kicked in. So the reality is it's 0. But now we're going after Canada for a tariff that has never been imposed. That's the insanity, and that's the truth. Back with more after this. It's the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Craziness.
Enjoying this local program?
We might play that
Find
again,
the
so keep
complete
that up,
Civic
please.
Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
More tariff announcements are coming out today between the United States, China, and the European Union, and it's causing money markets to move around. I'm Stephanie Hoff along with you on a Wednesday. This is the Midwest Farm Report. Here to explain how the marketplace cycles during a tariff environment is John Heinberg with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend.
Right now this market, in terms of what's been happening, we're just seeing money leave the marketplace in general. Corn positions are down, cattle positions are closing, things of that nature are just happening as maybe that money's got to go pay for some of the losses on the equity side. And, so there's some rebalancing of portfolios, but that's kind of really the biggest thing we're seeing right now. Now, if things calm down, that money might find a way to return itself back into this market, at least especially like I said, the corn and the wheat market, given some of those global supply situations. That soybean market, unfortunately, is a totally different animal because of that large South American pile coming at us here full speed in the next few weeks.
We'll take a look at how all of these moving parts are impacting today's
All right,
trade
folks, watch
in
the
just a
stream.
moment. Market advisor
Summers, which
John
one do you want? I'll
Heinberg
bring one in
joining
to you.
us from Total
You
Farm
want a
Marketing
lemonade?
based out of
lemon
West
sounds
Bend.
good.
All right, that's what I'm
Attention
about to
farmers
take
and ranchers.
Aaron Zommers,
The
a
Can-Am
lemonade Girl
Ag
Scout
and Business
cookie.
Program
very
wants to
much.
reward hardworking folks like you. Head to your local Can-Am dealer to find
don't
out
need
how
this,
you can
but
get
boy,
extra
do I want
coverage on top of the current offers on select Can-Am Defender and Outlander models. If you've had your eye on a new Can-Am ATV or side-by-side, now's the time to get yours. Visit your local Can-Am dealer today and add a true game changer to your roster. Conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Pause for a moment of clean row calm. Brought to you by Storin Corn Herbicide.
Infamous woke liberal Rand Paul.
Yes, all right.
Preserve this moment of weed-free serenity at storeandwon'tquit.com or see your Syngenta retailer today. Always read and follow label instructions.
Commodity markets are seeing support midday on a Wednesday. The only thing trading lower is cash corn, down 1.5 pennies at 4.67 December new crop corn is up 2 cents at 4.47 3/4. Cash soybeans are sitting neutral at 9.92 3/4. November new crop beans up 4.5 cents at 9.82 1/4. July new crop wheat is trading up 1/4 cent at 5.54 1/4. Looking at Class 3 milk
Go buy your
contracts, we're
local
seeing
Girl
strength
Scout
in this
cookies.
market as well. May milk is up 11 cents at 17.03 a hundredweight. The June contract up 12 cents at 16.85. That's what's happening in the marketplace on a Wednesday from Chicago. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
This
The
is your
Trump
local
administration
Civic Media
seems to wake
radio
up every day
station. Want to hear
and
even
look down
more?
and say,
Anytime?
boy,
Find
I
all
have
of
too
it
many
at
toes. Better shoot myself in the foot
civicmedia.us.
again.
All right.
Mostly cloudy today, but still mild with high temperatures scraping 50 degrees. Spotty sprinkles are possible this afternoon with some scattered showers tonight. Now we may have a little bit of drizzle lingering early tomorrow. Under overcast skies, highs will once again flirt with 50. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 46 degrees at our studios.
The John and Gordy Show.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Trump, according to Axios 6 minutes ago, Trump is pausing reciprocal tariffs for 90 days for everyone but China.
Cordon bleu.
Well, according to the whole
let
place,
me see
it's
what I
like the
got.
first time you've gone to the restaurant.
Yeah, it just came
Could I have
across
some cordon
CNN.
bleu?
Yep.
I mean, wow.
Sorry, sir. We don't serve cocaine here.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX.
This is insanity.
and the
How
Civic
can-
Media app.
But he's raising tariffs on Beijing now to 125%.
Child abuse is not a bad parent problem. And the causes may be different than you think.
You see, paid family
He's just
leave
spinning a wheel.
prevents child abuse.
Well,
And
and
high-quality,
part of it is
affordable
to keep
childcare
everybody,
prevents child abuse
the
too.
market,
Prevent Child
everybody
Abuse
else,
America promotes programs
quote
and
unquote, on their
resources
toes,
informed by
but
science
more
to help
realistically to
communities,
create
parents,
chaos.
and
You don't get
kids
it, Todd.
thrive.
It's the art of the
Because when
deal.
we keep families out of crisis,
That he did not
prevent
write.
child abuse.
from ever
What?
Go to preventchildabuse.org to learn
20
more.
seconds.
Thank you. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and Having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 34 minutes now past the hour of 12 noon on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Aaron Summers, our producer engineer, on the board. Glad to have you along. Little breaking news. Speaking of those tariffs, that's how quickly the national newscape changes. Take a commercial break. We'll have breaking news after this.
Yes, this broke as soon as we went to commercial.
Here it is. Several places now reporting it. This off of CNN. Headline, Trump says he's applying a 90-day pause on new tariffs, except for China, which is now being raised to, get this, 125%. 125%. President Trump says he's applying the 90-day pause on new tariffs as his trade war shakes the world economy. At the same time, he announced he was raising tariff rates on China to 125%, ratcheting up his tit-for-tat with Beijing. Interesting turn of a phrase by CNN. Trump's been involved in a lot of that. Trump says he has authorized a, quote, 90-day pause and substantially lowered reciprocal tariffs during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. It was not immediately clear which countries the pause will apply to. CNN is reaching out to the White House for further clarification. In the same message, Trump says he was raising U.S. tariffs on China as he works to bring Beijing to the negotiating table. Quote, based on the lack of respect that China has shown the world markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 145%. And it goes on from there. If there's anybody who, this is, now that's the end of the quote from Trump, or I'm not going to read all of it, but that's part of it. If there's anyone who has shown disrespect to the world market, it is Donald J. Trump. That's just a blatant point. That's the fact. And to go to 125%, there was a great story this morning. I think it was on CBS. There's no way the United States can win a trade war with China. Why? And don't quote me on the exact numbers, but this is pretty close. China imports approximately somewhere between 10 and 15% of their goods from the United States. That's how much trade that they rely on with the United States. We rely on China well over 50%. So Trump is, by self-infliction, putting the United States into an unwinnable trade situation with China. I'll use the phrase. It's a Kobayashi Maru. It's a no-win scenario with China.
But instead of having an unwinnable situation where you have to choose to save a ship or not save a ship, right. he threw them. I don't know. He sabotaged all of it. It's so idiotic. He's just spinning a wheel every day, and it's like, yes, right. No for tariffs, and how much?
Well, and the point of it is to create instability. Tony on YouTube says, what a rock of stability. I love to plan for my business future in this economy, unquote. He's absolutely right, and really that's what's, well, it's all concerning, right? I believe that's one of the most dangerous things. As someone who used to be a small business owner, the thing that you hate the most is instability and unpredictability. You can plan on, hey, there's a big event in town. I know this in advance. I'm going to have to staff more people, buy more goods so I don't run out. Or, in the restaurant industry in Madison, at least, February, March are pretty dry times. So you staff. Those are things you plan on. What's dangerous is this. All right, we're going to have to start laying off people of 50%, 100%, whatever tariffs. We're going to have to deal with this. And then you let those people go and you lay off people and you don't order as many goods. And then 48 hours later, just kidding. Well, now, holy crap, now you need all those people, those goods back. 855-752-4842. Zommers?
I want people to think about this for a second. So the stock market is a reflection of confidence and betting on whether businesses and markets are going to succeed or fail. The stock market is crashing harder than it did during COVID. That means, quite literally, that people, business owners, investors are betting that Donald Trump's economy is less is more unpredictable and dangerous than a disease that was ravaging the world and we did not have a cure for, killing millions of people.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. 855-752-4842. Let's go to Jack in Merrimack. Jack, thanks so much for calling in. What say you?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking is that people are going to love when their iPhone 17 comes out and it's $3,000.
Right.
But the tariffs are only a part of the problem. If somebody is making, let's say, a 5% profit on something, and you double the price, all of a sudden their profit's going to go down to 2.5%. No, I don't think so.
Right.
They're not going to do that. They're going to jack up the price an additional 5% because that will then put them back even to where they were.
Right.
The third thing I want to say is the last time this happened, the price increases, according to sources such liberal sources as the Wall Street Journal and Business Insider, roughly 2/3 of those price increases were price gouging because businesses said, "Oh, this is going to cost more." Everybody's going to blame COVID or the supply chain or things like that. So
Right.
we'll just bring our prices up, and corporate profits just went through the ceiling.
Right.
I see that happening here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I appreciate the call, Jack. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. And Jack, great point. It's not the left who's pointing the truth out. It's the conservatives. It's the right. It's MAGA itself. Let's go to this cut from Fox News. Fox News. I don't play a lot of Fox News cuts on here. This is from the morning show on the Curvy Couch. Here's what Fox News is saying about what these Trump tariffs are going to do to small businesses, and pointing out one small business who is this will basically cripple them and put them out of business.
There's an item in the New York Post that we all have in front of us. It's an exclusive story, and it talks about how with these 104% tariffs that went into effect, we think that China is going to have to pay for it, but it tells a story of a special needs toy importer. And when the tariffs went into effect at midnight, his tariff, he's been paying a tariff because he gets stuff from China, $26,000 a year. His tariff bill went from $26,000 at midnight to $346,000. And that's money he's going to have to come out of his pocket. It sounds like he's going to have to go ahead and close down part of his business. He tried to make the toys in the United States, but the tariff on that, his most popular item, went from $0 to $17 at midnight. And what he told the New York Post is people don't understand the tariff situation. They think just foreign countries are paying for the tariffs. That's not true. Half of the tariffs are being paid for by U.S.-based companies. Yeah. So when you look at the big numbers and they look good, just remember that according to this guy, half of the small businesses and half of the tariffs are being paid by Americans.
Well, right there from Fox News. Even Fox News knows they can't spin this. The tariffs aren't going to be paid by the foreign company. It's going to be paid for by you and I. One small business owner, did you get that number? His cost on the fees for importing went from $26,000 to $346,000. That ain't a small number. That is a, hey, I'm out of business number. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Gene, listening up in Eau Claire on WCFW. We appreciate you calling in on the tap, Gene. What say you?
Hi, guys. Great show as usual. Aaron, that was a great comment there. I believe that for sure. No one is safe from Trump's psychotic reign of hate and chaos. There's a fire over here. Whoop, whoop, jump. There's a fire over there. Whoop, there's a fire over here. Whoa, watch that fire over there. Jeez Louise, you can't keep up with all of them. And you know who it hurts? Every darn one of us. It hurts us in respect from other countries. They can't trust us anymore, our neighbors. Guys, wake up, stand up, call your representatives because they need to hear from you, because more of the crowds, even at their non-existence, when they get together with meetings with their constituents, have them anyway so the press is there so that they can see that people don't like this, because until it's visual, all the people upset, they're not going to act. Thank you very much and great show.
Appreciate
Bye.
the call, Gene. Thank you so very much. Gene brings up a good point, as she always does, which is this is beyond just the money, the dollars. This is our reputation as a country, as an ally. The European Union, NATO, Canada, people who have been our longtime friends now view us as the adversary because of one person, Donald Trump. They're having to make alternative plans for their national security, for their financial fitness as a country because of Donald Trump and the Trump tariffs. Mark from Sussex weighing in on the text line on the Civic Media app saying the market is up $2,500. Look. Mark, I haven't looked at, I can look at the market right now. I'll take your word for it. But the point Zommers was making earlier, and other people texting and calling in right now as well, over the weekend, people's 401ks was crushed. Here's Carol in Waukesha says, sure, crush my 401k when I'm 65 just to create, quote unquote, buying opportunities in the market for the rich. So sure, I mean, yeah, it makes sense, right? Trump says, oh, today we're going to take the tariffs off. Sure, the markets will go back up today.
Just wait till 4 p.m.
The long-term damage, particularly to people who have 401ks and have put their money in retirement accounts, people lost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the weekend, in one weekend. You're not going to make all that up today and tomorrow. And to the point, this destabilizes the world economy. This destabilizes world markets. This destabilizes trust that we have between our allies around the world. The world is a less safe place today because of Donald Trump. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Kurt, listening on WMDX in Madison. Kurt, thanks for calling. What say you? Kurt, are you there?
Good afternoon.
You're on the air, Kurt. Go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon. What concerns me now is the tariff debacle is created permanent damage. There's no, the Humpty Dumpty has been beaten up with a bat after he fell off the wall. There's no putting this back in the box. The United States is going to suffer huge financial losses probably in the next 20 years. And a lot of people out there who have been relying on their job and making ends meet and all the rest of it, that is now going to compound and only get worse. And I'd like to remind all the Republican listeners, when the U.S. government can no longer collect taxes to pay bills and debt, we either start printing money, which is very, very bad, or a lot more bad things happen. So I don't know what else to do to demonstrate for them to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize he's a loose cannon. He's out of control as well as all his appointees.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Kurt. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to West Allis. Robert in West Allis, you have 45 seconds. It's yours.
Yeah, the danger here is stagflation. We saw that in the 70s. So Paul Volcker at the Fed kept raising interest rates. So we could have a recession with rising prices. We need to know how much Bitcoin and Doge and other currencies these guys use. I think they're trying to ruin the full faith and credit of the U.S. and the dollar so that they can go to digital currency, and that's used for terrible things: drug running, human trafficking, tax evasion, avoiding economic sanctions.
That's a great call. A great call, Robert. I really appreciate it. We're up against the clock. I wouldn't to cut you off. Watch what Robert said. If you follow the plan of Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, they're moving to digital currency, and that ain't good. Back after this.
Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
The Verlo Mismatch Sale is back. It's our biggest sale of the year. Mismatch on the outside, the same Verlo long-lasting craftsmanship on the inside, and it's backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. So hurry in now for additional savings on every mattress and box spring. Plus, get huge savings on adjustable bases. And the more you buy, the more you save on accessory bundles. It's our
So
biggest
now
sale
here's a
of
great
the
example.
year.
So
We
CBS is
got
going to a special
free
report right now on this, on the Trump tariffs.
Hey, Gordy. How you
Are
doing?
we
Arthur,
splitting the
great to
network
see
and
what you
taking
do in the
ABC and
studio.
CBS as
Well,
special
I need to
reports?
talk
Are
to
we
you
not?
about
Are
doing a
we,
commercial.
Okay. Well,
there's
you
no
know,
direction.
to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Okay, I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact you directly, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
what's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait, run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our
30
commitments
seconds.
extend
Thank you.
beyond our workplace and your home. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network at 9 before the hour of 1 o'clock on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Glad to have you along with us. Breaking news at this hour. President Donald Trump, President Donald Trump said he's applying a 90-day pause on new tariffs as his trade war shakes the world economy. At the same time, he announced he was raising tariff rates on China to 125%, ratcheting up his tit for tat with Beijing. It was not immediately clear which countries the pause will apply to. CNN and other sources reaching out to the White House for further clarification. In the same message, Trump said he was raising U.S. tariffs on China as he works, as he said, to bring Beijing to the negotiating table, unquote, although they weren't the ones that started this war. It was Trump. And it's the uncertainty. L.A. Tom, by the way, I guess he's on the phone, but he had this comment here. Said, Trump loves the media talking about him 24/7. He's absolutely right. And believe me, I'm not thrilled to keep talking about Trump, but his actions have real-world implications from what we pay at the store to our 401ks. And yes, the markets now are starting to surge after this announcement just 5-10 minutes ago. Well, of course they are. But again, people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars over the weekend in their retirement account. Other countries are making long-term plans to trade with other countries. They're not going to reverse those things now that Trump just put his finger up in the air and the wind's blowing a different direction. To the earlier caller's point, this is long-term damage, and it ain't good for you and I. And by the way, China is where we get most of our foreign goods from, and that tariff's going up 125%. So all the people that shop at Walmart, all the people that shop at big box stores, all the people that shop at Costco, most of those goods are made in China. Those prices ain't going down. They're going up. So what you and I pay for things at the store is going to go up. 855-752-4842. Tom, listening in McFarland on WMDX. Tom, thanks for calling. Let's see.
Thanks for taking my call. And, if you would have told me even 4 years ago that the GOP
would willingly walk away from free trade and embrace mercantilism, I would have told you, I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet every day. It's just insane to me that this is what they're doing. When we built this system for the past 80 plus years, the United States is the one that's been championing free trade, and we're the one that rigged the system to make sure that it benefits us. If you take a look at the wealthiest corporations, the countries that have the most billionaires, let alone millionaires, the United States is always coming up on top, and it's because of the system that we built around free trade, a lot with the alignment of the GOP with corporate interests, and now they're just going to take a wrecking ball to that. Well, like you mentioned, the world right now is built on free trade.
Right.
The world is not going to go back to mercantilism.
Yeah.
So instead of having the United States being top dog, there's going to be another country that's going to take that role, and we are the ones that did it to ourselves. It's absolutely nuts. It's just, wow.
Well said. Well,
like I said, I never would have thought the day that this would happen with the GOP.
As a former Republican who left the party in 2011, I'm gobsmacked as much as you are. Never thought this day would come. But again, it just goes to show you that the Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party of Lincoln and Eisenhower or even Reagan and Thompson. It is the MAGA party of Donald Trump. 855-752-4842. Out to Los Angeles we go. L.A. Tom. L.A., thanks for calling. We'll see you.
Yeah, I got to have a question for you, Todd. The Republicans are very, very good at having surrogates. And I think Bill Clinton was good at it as well. But why is it that the Democrats of today, two questions. One, that they did, like Joe Biden, why didn't he have a surrogate out every day talking about what was going on? And two, why is it that the Democrats don't set up a shadow government and say that, we are the party of FDR. We are the ones that brought you Social Security. We want to strengthen Social Security. We want to strengthen Medicare from Lyndon Johnson. All Democratic presidents that brought that across the goal line.
I think those are
don't understand.
Those are great questions. And stay on the line. We got 2 minutes here left. We can talk about this a little bit. As you know, I'm not a Democrat. I was a lifelong Republican until 2011. I left the party. I'm an independent now, so I don't want to speak for the Democratic Party, quote unquote. I can just give you an outsider perspective. And I've heard you on our show and another show, and not just you, other Democrats. I'm not sure what's in the water. FDR is very popular amongst Democrats these days, and I think FDR did a lot of great things for this country. One of probably our country's best presidents. I don't know, LA, whether or not that's the right messaging for this genre, this era. I mean, you look at Zommers, people in their 20s. When you say FDR and Lyndon Johnson, that doesn't register, I don't think, a lot. Does it, Zommers?
I mean, I know, but I also work for a political radio station.
Right.
I think a lot of people don't.
I just think that's the wrong branding as an outsider that's not in the Democratic Party. I'm not sure that that's the branding you want to use. I think taking some of the ideas, I'll push back a little bit and say I'm not here to defend or speak for Joe Biden, but I think putting somebody like Pete Buttigieg out on Fox, even on CNN, I mean, that guy is an incredible surrogate, an incredible speaker. And does it in a way that makes sense to the mainstream of America on both sides of the aisle. So maybe you needed more Pete Buttigieg's out there. I don't know, LA, but I'm not arguing with you on the ideas of FDR, but I just don't know that's the right spin. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but I do think that's why we study history.
Sure.
So, why not follow the FDR playbook? Trump is following Hitler's playbook. Or following Hoover's playbook.
Right.
So,
I like that. That was great. That was great. Back after this, hour 2 straight ahead. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
This is real news.
That was good,
and
LA.
great
So we're up against the clock. But yeah, that was good.
Jane McNair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show,
Tony, that's a good point.
It's true.
I just think when people keep saying, I hear this a lot lately, from not just in our network, but other places, Democrats say FDR. I just don't think that dog hunts in terms of, I don't know. I don't see people going like, oh, yes, FDR.
The AI suggested podcast title for that hour is Tariff Turmoil and Thin Mints.
and still spelling my name Alba.
Yeah.
I'm not Jessica Alba.
is lit on fire and nosediving. Can't be bothered.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays
La,
from 2
da,
to 4
la,
on
da,
your
da,
local
da.
Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Some of America's biggest
Tony,
importers
AI
now
has
facing
nailed it.
tariffs after President Trump ushered in reciprocal tariffs. The president says he wants to fix decades of unfair trading practices and says he's ready to make new deals.
All right,
China
number two, we have what's the worst coming up for those watching on the Oh, Thin Mints was my main takeaway from that hour. Well, good.
Counter tariffs on U.S. goods. The president says he's ready to make
Right
a
here,
deal. Meantime,
your
businesses
Girl
are
Scout
already
Thin
having to
Mint.
shift gears.
Walmart is scrapping its projected
We have what's worse coming up, Taco Bell or Arby's. We'll talk about the Senate budget deal a little bit.
Delta, the nation's most profitable
And
airline,
Mark
did not.
Johnson
Delta's
doing a great job,
scrapping
and
its
his wife.
projected yearly growth and also shelving
And much,
planned
much more.
expansion
So be
for
with
the
us for
second half
hour
of the
number 2.
year. The airline says bookings are down.
I know what I'm doing after the show
Brian
today.
Clark, a growing number
Girl
of
Scout
lawmakers
cookies?
in the Senate and House considering new
I know 2 things I'm
legislation
doing
aimed
after the show today.
Future tariffs.
I
This
need
is
to buy
ABC
shoes. I know you're aware. I've needed to buy shoes for a long time. The tread is wearing off. It's basically gone everywhere except for the arch and the tip of the toe. And there's holes in the top of the. Yeah, my shoes are garbage. So I should probably buy them before they're tripled in price.
Yeah, you gotta go take on or go to Moving Shoes on Park Street.
Moving Shoes.
Moving
Is that the
Shoes.
place to
That's
go?
where I got. That's where I got my Brooks shoes at. Good prices, good folks. They'll set you up.
All right.
Moving Shoes in Madison.
He made scientific discoveries that saved lives, but he also signed a petition to keep black people from living in his neighborhood and blocked a film about racial discrimination toward renters from being shown. This has been in the works for a couple years. A student originally brought it to the district's attention. School board member Megan Chapman.
I would never want any student, staff, parent to feel that they weren't welcome and accepted in a school due to the name of the school itself.
This now begins the next phase of this process where they find a new name for the school. The Madison Metropolitan School District has its own Elvium Elementary, and that's also slated to be renamed. Meanwhile, in the middle of a merger, U.S. Cellular will be closing hundreds of stores across the country, dozens here in Wisconsin. Jimmy Kuska has more.
U.S. Cellular is planning to lay off thousands of employees across the country, impacting workers here in Wisconsin. The company is being acquired by T-Mobile. According to a filing with state governments notifying them of the mass layoff, workers will be let go beginning June 2nd. The company plans to offer most of the affected workers similar jobs with T-Mobile. In Wisconsin, 44 locations are impacted, mostly retail stores, as well as the company's engineering hub in Brookfield. About 4,100 workers are affected nationally.
Here in Madison,
My U.S. Cellular is going down like the Titanic.
Licensed carriers.
Think about all those
closed.
people losing
That's
their
on top
jobs.
of the locations in Beaver Dam, Beloit, Janesville, Dover, Portage.
L.A. Times says FDR won 4 elections
If your
for a
cell phone
reason,
provider
and on
is US
top of
Cellular,
that, he
it
took
will
us out of the Great
automatically switch
Depression.
over
We need to teach and learn history. If Dems can't look,
You're listening to 92.7
It looks like
WMDX
the comment is going to be continued in a second.
Oh, all right.
Sometimes YouTube just takes a second to split up those long
I don't disagree with that, L.A. I just think that, that was 75 years ago plus. I just don't think that I don't think FDR's, I don't think it's completely transferable into 2025.
They hung in there with
That's
us.
my only point.
And then they could smell the blood in the water as well. This is why you love home games.
Baseball, top of the 7th inning, Brewers up 4-1.
I think there's a lot to learn, LA, from FDR. I think there's a lot of things you can take out of that. I think you have to modernize it for 2025. That's my only point.
Got to brand it differently. It's basically the only difference, it seems.
And that hitting streak stays alive. 11 games now for Bryce.
The Brewers beat the Rockies 7-1.
Terang me. Why don't they get a rope and hang me?
444 feet, the longest of his career.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
Bryce, I love that guy. Great name, great player. I would love to interview Bryce Terang.
You can always continue the conversation on social media.
Maybe Mike
Share your
Clements can
thoughts
arrange
when
that.
you
I don't know.
find
That would be
and follow
great.
Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Mostly cloudy today, but still mild with high temperatures scraping 50 degrees. Spotty sprinkles are possible this afternoon with some scattered showers tonight. Now we may have a little bit of drizzle lingering early tomorrow. Under overcast skies, highs will once again flirt with 50. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's
No whip
46
today.
degrees at our studios.
The John and Gordy Show.
Chicken cordon bleu?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Do you have
Yeah,
Julian
Ellie,
standing
you're
by?
right. History obviously
Well,
repeats
let's hear it.
itself.
It is said
For better or worse.
cordon bleu.
Well, cordon
Seems
bleu,
odd.
please. It's like the first time you've gone to the restaurant. Could I have some cordon bleu?
Sorry, sir. We don't serve cocaine here.
Weekday morning, 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
Yo, I'm your old basketball. Haven't seen you out on the courts in a while. Why not pass me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that's a slam dunk. Donate today. Hey, I got next.
30 seconds.
Gracias.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Aaron Zomers, our producer and engineer. It is 6 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 on the big program. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day.
There you go. Made it to the middle of the week. Sun trying to come out here at the world headquarters in downtown Madison, Wisconsin. Peeking out here and there. Still chilly today. If you draw a line, say from Green Bay-ish down to Madison, everything south and east of that line could get some slushy snow accumulation later this afternoon, tonight, and into the early morning hours tomorrow. Could make commuting in the morning a little slickery. Saying below 2 inches of total snow accumulation, but you never know where these fronts are going to line up. So could get a little slickery tonight, but then maybe 70 degrees by Sunday and Monday. So be aware of that. Lots to get to coming up in hour number 2 here. But first of all, in case you have not heard, breaking news about 45 minutes ago, President Donald Trump said he is applying a 90-day pause on new tariffs on his trade war as it shakes the world economy. At the same time, he announced he was raising tariff rates on China to 125%. That's 125, 125%, ratcheting up his tit-for-tat with Beijing. It was not immediately clear which countries the pause will apply to. Sources are reaching out to the White House for further clarification. In the same message, Trump said he was raising U.S. tariffs on China as he works to bring Beijing to the negotiating table in a trade war that he himself started. Markets are on their way up right now after a lot of people lost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in their 401k over the weekend. Markets on the way up, but as we talked about in hour 1, the real damage here is the long-term damage to world markets, allies, other countries finding other countries to trade with for the long term, because they're not going to put up with this horse crap. They're not going to put up with this bipolar White House of well, we're this way this hour, we'll be this way next. People do not like market insecurity. Just don't. And they're not going to put up with it. And they will go elsewhere to trade for a lot of things. Lots to get to. By the way, this hour, we're going to talk about the Senate budget deal. Here's something.
is not being talked a lot about because we get so pigeonholed into the news of the half hour that we forget in D.C. There's a lot going on. And a lot of, speaking of long-term implications, so we're going to talk about some of that in this hour as well. The Senate budget deal right now and what that could mean for us. Also want to talk a little bit about Mark Johnson, the hockey coach here, the women's hockey coach, won a record eighth national championship with the Wisconsin women's hockey team this year. He and his wife have a brand new project here in Dane County. It's fantastic. Going to let you hear from Coach Johnson here in just a little while. And this is always fun. People from outside Wisconsin tried to pronounce Wisconsin names. Our friends up at the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, up in Appleton, Wisconsin, one of the minor league clubs of Milwaukee. Their players, most of them are not from Wisconsin, and they put a microphone and a camera and said, here, pronounce this. So that's a lot of fun. And much, much more. But right now, 10 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, but it is your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 news, talk, sports stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. No better place to advertise, get your name out than here at Civic Media. Go to civicmedia.us. If you go to civicmedia.com, it takes you to an entirely different place. You don't want to go there. Go to civicmedia.us. Have you ever dialed that up, Summers? Just for the heck of it?
I am right now.
It's
nothing.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
All right.
Legitimately.
All right. Well, go to civicmedia.us. That's where you'll find us. Anyway, this is great because spring's coming along. People are on the road, traveling around. And I think, I don't know, Summers, you tend to eat out more often during warmer months than cold months?
Probably, because then I could just walk somewhere
Right.
or things like that.
And, you know, a lot of us, I think, whether we're in college or whether, look, Taco Bell is quick and easy. A lot like me. Anyway, quick and easy, Taco Bell. And then you got Arby's, right?
We have the meat.
I love that. Is that James Earl Jones that says that?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
It sounds a lot like him. We have the meats.
I don't think it's him, but it could be.
We have the meats.
You don't know the power of the roast beef.
Anyway, timely indeed, as Mike Lucas says. Here we go. The category today, what's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? What's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or you can text us on the Civic Media app. You can download it for free today. Go to your app store on your Apple or Android device. In the search bar, type in Civic, CIVIC, Media. It'll pop up. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free. It's what Gail King, who is about to go into space, likes to call a deal. She's going up on space on Monday.
A deal even in space.
A deal even in space. I wish we could do like a special report. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be really cool.
Civic Media special report. Gail King goes into space.
And it's just us being like, yep,
Right, yeah.
she's on the rocket.
Yeah.
Rocket's ready to launch.
It'll never happen, but it'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, what's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Tony, watching on YouTube, says, I think you mean which is better. I guess it's your perspective. I don't know. I'm not here to hate. We're not here to hate on either company. Both have their place. I've eaten a lot of Taco Bell in my day. We were talking about this with Luke Mathers before the show. He thought it was he said a bad Arby's roast beef is worse than, I guess, bad Taco Bell. I thought, well, that's a valid point because I only go to Arby's 2, maybe 3 times a year because it's kind of like a filet of fish sandwich for me at McDonald's. I get a hankering for it. I get an urge. There's just a couple of days out of the year where it's like, I got to have that. And so I enjoy, and I don't get the fancy roast beef at Arby's, just the plain old roast beef.
That's the best thing.
Yeah, with their Arby's dipping sauce or whatever it is, and then I'm satisfied for 6 months. Taco Bell, maybe I eat slightly more often because it's convenient. I don't know. But I don't know. What's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Jeff Perry, our ongoing contributor on Facebook, says both restaurants have greatly increased the stock price of several major toilet paper companies.
Certainly believable. If that is true, I would believe it.
That's so funny. Because I told Mathers when we were discussing it, I said, well, I've probably gotten sick more often on bad Taco Bell than I have on Arby's. I've probably had to use the restroom more often because I eat at Taco Bell more. I can't even remember. That's a real take by Perry right there. 855-752-4842. Ollie in the North Woods calling in. Ollie, thanks for calling. Taco Bell or Arby's, what's worse?
Well, I would give my teeth for either one of them to be in my neck of the woods.
Right?
But
right.
I guess when it comes to eating in the car, it's worse to have Taco Bell because it's pretty hard to eat a taco without it falling in your lap.
Now, that's a great take. And before you hang up, you brought up another great point. Growing up in a town of 5,000 people in southwest Wisconsin, Taco Bell, holy cow, you went to Madison. That was a real treat. And it wasn't until I was, I don't know, in high school or college that we finally got a Taco Bell at Richland Center. And it was a huge deal.
I could go for either one.
All right. Appreciate the call, Ollie. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. That's a great point, Summers, is that, if you live in a city, you get really spoiled and self-entitled. And a lot of people who live out in more rural areas of the state, they die for either one of these places.
Yeah, I am both lucky and unlucky. Lucky because I got to have these growing up. Unlucky because I got to have these growing up, and I probably should have been eating healthier food. But Manitowoc, not a very big city, but right on the interstate between Sheboygan and Green Bay. So we had a lot of fast food.
What's the population of Manitowoc?
45,000 maybe.
What? Not a big. Where I come from, that's a metropolis.
I know it's not tiny, but
Ask Perry. Jeff, keep me honest. Growing up in high school, I remember when the first big one was Hardee's, when Hardee's came to town, and then I think maybe McDonald's after that, Pizza Hut more or less around the same time, and then we got a KFC, like when I was in maybe middle school, and then I think Taco Bell came after that, I think, if I remember right.
I never thought of Manitowoc as a tiny place until I went to college, and all these people are like, oh, I'm from California, and my town has like 2 million people in it, and it's pretty small.
Well, yeah, sure. And also, I think we're spoiled in Wisconsin because, for my money, Culver's tops all of them.
Oh, yeah.
What's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Roger, listening in Stevens Point on one of our, I'm assuming probably FHR, our great station up there. Roger in Stevens Point says, if you want a delicious laxative, it's Taco Bell.
Everyone makes that joke, but I've never actually had, digestive problems from Taco Bell.
Really?
Yeah, it's never bothered me. I guess I've been lucky.
Right. Perry chiming in on Facebook says, Todd, you're absolutely correct. I particularly remember the small town excitement when McDonald's opened in Richland Center. Yeah. A lot of these fast food places, it's a cool thing because if you come from a small town in Wisconsin, you don't always have that. Also, Rosa Ann in Fitchburg, I think it's Fritch, says Dairy Queen in Richland. Yes, we had a Dairy Queen in Richland Center for a long, long time. That was probably the first fast food place in my little hometown. Come on back, more after this. It's the Allbaugh Show in Civic Media.
News, Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7
We have a bunch of other
WMDX.
texts you might want to look on your
The
phone.
John
There's
and
a
Gordy
bunch.
Show.
Chicken cordon bleu?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Do you have Julian standing by?
I do have Julian. To
Well,
tell
let's
us.
hear it.
Well, cordon bleu, please. It's like the first time you've gone to the restaurant. Could I have some cordon bleu?
Sorry, sir. We don't serve cocaine here.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
Well, I did once. I
Reviewing the week's
had
legal news with
bought a drum
friend of the
machine a
court.
few years ago, and one of the first beats on it, I named Tuesday 2 a.m. Taco Bell, because it had like a bong, like a bell in it, and then it was just really fast. And it's like I imagined it was running to the bathroom after a midnight Taco Bell trip. I'll have to see if I can find that.
With me in discussion. Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
When we got our home appraised, we felt robbed. Compared to a similar home right around the corner, our appraisal was $80,000 less.
Latino and black homeowners are about twice as likely as white homeowners to get low appraisals. If you believe your home has been
Oh my
unfairly
gosh,
appraised
yes.
because of race or national
Chris in
origin,
Blue River, you're
contact
absolutely
HUD
right.
at
Dog and Suds. Oh,
HUD.gov/fair
I've never heard of
housing.
that.
That's
Really?
HUD.gov/fair housing.
Also, it is not
Everyone
James
has a
Earl
right to
Jones.
fair
Someone
housing.
texted in it.
A
It's
public service
Ving
message from HUD in
Rames.
partnership with
Really?
National Fair
Sounds a lot
Housing
like
Alliance.
James Earl
The
Jones.
first time seeing my son,
That's
I
good to
feel
know.
like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
He was Marcellus
Through all
Wallace in
fatherless
Pulp
first,
Fiction.
never
He
stopped
was
being
IMF
God.
agent
Father
Luther
got
Stickle
up to
in
hear
Mission
more, brought to you
Impossible,
by the US Department of Health and Human Services and
among many other
You
things.
are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 now past the hour, 1 o'clock on Wednesday, April 9th. Zommer's on the board, asking you the pertinent question of the day. Taco Bell or Arby's? What's worse? L.A. Tom and others have said the same thing. I think the question should be, which is better? Well, I mean, but then we got to change the bit. The bit isn't what's better, it's what's worse. So if you say what's worse, then the other one is better. Or just having fun, you understand. By the way, talking about people that know, I grew up in a little town called Richland Center in beautiful southwest Wisconsin. People listening on WRCE from Richland Center. Chris in Blue River, because I mentioned some of the, coming from a town of 5,000-ish people, when you're growing up as a kid, I grew up and a lot of these things they weren't in our town. And so it was a big deal when they come to it. Now, Chris in Blue River reminds me, and thank you very much, Chris. He says, don't forget the Dog and Suds. That was very big back in the day. Dog and Suds, it was on Highway 14 as you're going kind of south, and it was right next to Kohler Petroleum. A great place as well. To gas up at Kohler Petroleum at the Standard Station there, and then you went to Dog and Suds. It was basically like A&W, which we also had an A&W right across from Crosscup Park where you played church league softball. And so they had like the people would come out to your car, they'd put the tray in your window and you'd order from a little speaker. That was always a big deal. So yeah, those are the predominant fast food places growing up for me. Dog and Suds, A&W, and Dairy Queen. And then everything else came after that. Lots of other texters here. We appreciate it. What's worse, Taco Bell or Arby's? Tammy, listening in Eau Claire on WCFW, says Taco Bell is worse. They have a vat of cheese-like substance that they buy from a distributor in Texas that sweeps random cheese-like substances into and cooks under a melted pot together. All right. Steve in Milwaukee says, I like them both equally. Curly fries, quesadilla, and a chalupa. The chalupa is fantastic.
It is. It is.
I love a good chalupa. Also, the curly cinnamon fried things. What do they call those?
Yeah, I can't remember what.
The
I think
dessert
just
thing.
cinnamon twists.
Yes, cinnamon twists. I could eat a pound of those. That's fantastic. What else we have here on the old text line? Let's
DJ
see.
in the Saw says something that I was just going to bring up. Todd, they still have a Dog and Suds in Tomahawk if you ever find yourself up this way.
I have. As I travel around the state as we go around, I'll have to check that out.
I'll have to stop next time I go up north.
L.A. Tom watching on YouTube says in Durand, we had the Panther Drive-In, which made the largest cones in the state. Really? I recommend everyone go to Durand to get a cone there. I've been to, it's a twin town, Durand.
Is that so?
Yeah, for the first town is Durand, and then the suburb is Durand. It's called Durand.
And you go to the Panther Drive-In when you're hungry like the wolf, right?
Nicely done. Nicely done, Zommers. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Matt, listening in Middleton, says Arby's is definitely worse, as I know what beans are, but we'll never know what the substance that comes to the store in a large bag of goo what that's called. Some haters on Taco Bell. Al in Jackson, listening on WAUK, says Taco Bell is worse. It costs at least $50 to feed the family. It's gone in seconds, and we're left unsatisfied. We can go to a local Mexican restaurant, though, and it'll be $80. The portions are huge, and we'll have leftovers for one day, if not two. Now, there's a great point.
You can't overlook the local Mexican restaurants.
No, really, really great food all across Wisconsin at local Mexican restaurants, among them Los Amigos 2 in downtown Richland Center. There you go. What else we have here? We have Julie listening in Wausau on beautiful Bull Falls Radio, says, I don't like Arby's. Too much meat. Bad for global warming. Well, all right. I, for one, believe you can never have too much meat. Carol on WMDX in Madison says, oh, this is great. This is great because I asked earlier, the Arby's have the great commercials. You know, they always end with, we have the meats. And I asked the question, is that the late, great James Earl Jones, i.e., this is CNN and Darth Vader? And Carol in Madison says, is this our Carol? She says, Ving Ray, is it Rames? Ving Rhames does the We Have the Meats. Oh, he was also in Lilo and Stitch. I did not know that. So that's a deep cut on that text. I appreciate that. And what else? We have John in Milwaukee. Oh, that was on the tariffs. Chris in Blue River says Arby's, but just barely is worse. What edge is the amount of curly fries? Those things are beyond awful. See,
I like them.
See, that's another thing. I wouldn't want curly fries every day, but a couple of times a year, I enjoy a good curly fry. Yeah. I also enjoyed curly in the Three Stooges. Zommers, Taco Bell or Arby's? What's worse?
I agree with a lot of people that they're both good. The problem is, in the last few years, I don't know if Arby's changed or my gut changed, but I've mentioned I've never had digestive problems from Taco Bell, but Arby's now consistently, every time in the last 5 years, I have immediately needed to take a long diversion to the bathroom. And yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, it is funny. So yeah.
That's a good point, though, because I think some restaurants, they change like the kind of oil or the brand that they do. And for some, it has a reaction for some people.
Something's just not quite right with me anymore in Arby's. We don't get along anymore.
You don't have the meats.
I do not, unfortunately.
Boy, I don't know. I mean, Mathers has a good point that since I only eat at Arby's like twice a year, I don't know if I'm really qualified to say this or not. I guess I would say only the reverse of what you said. I've never gotten sick from anything I got at Arby's. I can't say the same about Taco Bell, but I've gone to Taco Bell a lot more over the years. Although I can't remember the last time I had Taco Bell, because now there are so many Culvers around the state that I'm addicted to Culver's. Not addicted, but the quality of food is so much better that I just go to Culver's. And you don't have to go very far anymore.
Sometimes Taco Bell is nice as a break from Culver's, though, you know?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Liz in Saukville, listening on WAUK, says Arby's is worse. I love chalupas and crunch wraps from The Bell. Well, and also the great sports reporter, Jeff Patrikas from the Journal-Sentinel, is retired now, but he is like an ambassador for Taco Bell. I think he did a thing where like he ate Taco Bell for 2 months straight. something like
Oof.
that. I know. All right, come on back. We'll take a look at the United States Senate and the budget deal. Take your phone calls as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Wednesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Great conversation. 92.7 WMD.
Arby's has better social media.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
They're not at the tier of Wendy's, right? Although this has all been going on for years now, and it's less funny than it used to be. But a few years ago, Wendy's and Arby's both got into, they were following in like the Stranger Things D&D trend, and they made their own role-playing games starring characters from their thing. And like, you can still buy Arby's dice.
What?
But they're sold out because as soon as they restock them, everyone immediately buys them out. But you can get like the 20-sided dice.
Oh, there are multiple sides?
Well, yeah, it's like instead of just a normal D6, a 6-sided die, a cube, you have a D4, 4 sides, 6 sides, 8, 10, 12, 20 are the main ones. And so you buy a set of these 7 polyhedral dice, they call them. And
polyhedral dice?
Polyhedral, AL at the end.
Is that like polyamorous dice?
Sure. You know, just more love to go around.
Get a seat at the table. It can really make a difference.
But yeah, they have like the Arby's hat on the highest number on all the dice.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The incumbent won last week by just 9 votes. His challenger, Nino Amato, has requested.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have bought them if I was not too late to the camp.
LA Tom, I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
It starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. And yes, we just wrapped up a Supreme Court race, but we're already looking toward the next.
All right. Yes, we'll talk about the House Republican bill. The House Republicans and then the Senate bill here. Hour 2.
Susan Crawford's win over Brad Schimmel in the April 1st election preserved a 4-3 progressive majority.
Maybe I should start wearing these during our What's Worse segment.
Out a path to achieving a court that is not led and dominated.
Maybe you should start drinking before the show and then wear those.
Crawford's win locked in a liberal majority for at least 2028.
Do this show. This is the Roy Orbison segment of the show.
To regain control of the court. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is 92.
It kind of matches the backdrop, though.
A little bit, yeah. I wear these polarized sunglasses so you can never know where I'm looking.
I wear my sunglasses at night so I can.
But things are about to get worse. Warner Brothers Studios has agreed to turn over footage and outtakes from the set of Arthur in 2011. The studio has made it clear where they stand after being sued along with Brand in 2023 by an extra from the film who said the actor exposed himself to multiple people and assaulted her. What a guy. HBO is giddy over the ratings for the season finale of White Lotus Season 3. The network says 6.2 million viewers tuned in and were treated to a higher body count than we've seen in previous seasons of the show. That shattered the past record for viewers of the show, which was the previous week's 4.8 million viewers. I think it's time for me to check out Season 3. For more showbiz fun, tune in tonight with me, Pete Schwab, from 6 to 8 p.m.
I'm going to tell you now, LA Tom, the answer is no. He has not taken the quiz.
I know. I'm sorry. I've let you down.
Today he has to leave right after the show.
Yeah, I gotta go get my taxes done today. Today is tax day for Todd, which my friend Kurt pointed out. Wow, you're really doing them early this year.
Cloudy today, but still mild with high temperatures scraping 50 degrees.
Oh, look, my sister chiming in. I wear my sunglasses. Was my recital number 1986? Wow, I forgot. Was it a jazz number or tap? You couldn't have tapped to that, did you?
That would be interesting. Yeah.
I bet it was a jazz number.
That would make much more sense.
Are you looking to kick up your nighttime entertainment? Good times await you at the Lazy.
When I had that eye appointment last year and got my pupils dilated for the first time and had to wear sunglasses at night inside, my roommates just kept playing that song anytime I'd come in the room.
DJ Wausau, be careful with those jokes. You were halfway, a half an antidote away from a three-way blunder. I like that. A couple of times last time. Yes, a three-way blunder. Say that 3 times quick. Well, yes, Mike in Cottage Grove. Yes, the cinnamon, if you buy them like a legit, they are called churros. But I think at Taco Bell, they're just called cinnamon twists.
Yeah.
But you're right, Mike.
They're technically not churros, I believe.
Yeah. because they're much lighter than a churro. Churro has more depth to it, more heft. Oh, it was a black light number, a hot pink. Da, da, da. Wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media along with Aaron Zommers. Glad to have you here. 34 past the hour, 1 o'clock on Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2025. Don't let me forget, Zommers, before we get out of here today. Going to play a couple of cuts for folks. One from University of Wisconsin women's hockey coach, Mark Johnson. He and his wife, Leslie, incredible people, starting a new project here in Madison in Dane County for kids with anxiety and depression. These people are true. We're just going to start this, all right? Put up a statue of Mark Johnson on campus now because he deserves it. Won a national championship as a player under his dad as a hockey player at Wisconsin. I believe he won an NHL championship in the NHL, a Stanley Cup, although I could be wrong about that one. But he won a gold medal in the big Lake Placid Olympics. The Miracle on Ice team was largely responsible for that, Mark Johnson was. Then he comes back to his alma mater and is the very first women's coach, and they have now won 8 national titles under Coach Johnson. And it's not just his sports stuff. Here he and his wife Leslie now are starting this ranch for the public here in South Central Wisconsin for kids with depression and anxiety. So we'll hear from Mark Johnson. And also the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, one of the minor league teams of the Milwaukee Brewers, located in beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin. Their guys are mostly not Wisconsin guys, as that's just the way it is in minor league baseball. And so they put Wisconsin town names in front of them and said, say that. It's always a good time. So we'll play those before we get out of here. But first of all this trade war stuff started by Donald Trump, obviously important because it affects us. And we'll try to get to this tomorrow. The things that are happening in terms of ICE and the government disappearing people. Incredibly disturbing. We talked about this yesterday, that now at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, we have 13 different students, both current and alumni, who are here legally. And the U.S. government has pulled their visas immediately without any chance for redress and said, get out of here. And yes, L.A. Tom, you're right, watching on YouTube, saying any of us could be disappeared next. That is correct. We'll get more into that tomorrow. But while all these things are happening, and again, this is the part of the game plan of Trump and the Heritage Foundation, which wrote along with Trump's people, Project 2025, which we know many of these things are already done. That's the game plan. And what it's doing is, and again, to use the double negative, none of it is not important. But what it does is it distracts us away from the kind of boring yet normal / not normal in the United States Congress. This week, House Republicans will try to pass the budget framework that passed the Senate over the weekend. The president's see, we haven't even talked about this. The Republican-controlled Senate passed a budget. The president's legislative agenda, of course, hinges on it. Here are the basics of the 700, pardon me, had an extra zero, of the 70-page proposal. 1, it would put the entire Trump agenda, tax cuts, border security, spending, into one bill. Oftentimes, to get it through Congress, they divide it up. They're putting the kitchen sink in one big old bill. Secondly, an extension of expiring tax cuts. The Senate would also up to $5.3 trillion in tax cuts over the next decade. This would extend the 2017 tax cuts that Trump signed into law during his first term. And of course, the majority of those tax cuts lean completely in favor of the ultra-wealthy billionaires and corporations in this country. Next, the bill includes another $500 million for border security, detaining migrants, and national defense. We saw under President Biden that people crossing the border went down to historic lows. That has continued under the Trump presidency 2.0, and yet they're putting in even more money for a problem that seems to be dissipating, although I want to be very careful. Oh, Todd, you don't think there's a problem at the border? No, there absolutely is a challenge and a problem at the border. But it's how you address that in a realistic fashion. And we've talked about it on this program before. As someone who dealt with immigration issues working for a congressman for 5 years, spending a lot of time in El Salvador at the U.S. Embassy there, standing in line with run-of-the-mill Salvadorans back when you had to stand in line to apply to get your visas approved, I can tell you much of the border problem is caused by not funding embassies in country. It's not putting more money, just putting more money at border security. It's fixing the root problem of why people want to choose that way in the first place. Next, the budget framework would raise the national debt by $5 trillion with a T dollars. The nation's debt currently stands at $36 trillion. What? My former party. What about all those fiscal conservatives? Not so much. The Republican Senate plan has unusual twists and turns. Among them, the Senate plan calls for $4 billion in spending cuts. Yet, almost none of them are expected to come from committees in the upper chamber. Next, instead, it instructs House committees to find $2 trillion in cuts. Don't you love that? The Senate, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, all those boys. Hey, we're gonna pass $4 billion in cuts. But hey, you guys in the House figure out how we're gonna do that. We did our job. We passed them. But the House has to take it from your side. That was pretty slick, actually. So the amount the House originally passed was $2 trillion. That includes the $800 billion in cuts from the House committee overseeing Medicaid. There we go. See, Republicans, my former party, love to talk about cuts. But just like Robin Voss and people in the state legislature, what they never tell you, what they never talk about, is what they know to be true. That it's very tough to get deep cuts unless you're willing to go into things like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, things we used to call food stamps, helping the homeless, or helping the people who are down on their luck. So what's going on here? Well, it's essentially a policy punt, to put it in football terms. If this budget resolution passes the House, then both chambers would need to write the actual legislation laying out the tax cuts and the Trump agenda. Both Republican-controlled chambers will need to compromise. But the Senate has the advantage in that negotiation. Will it pass the House? We'll see. Only with pressure from Trump on several Republican members, particularly those in the Freedom Caucus. Right? These are the conservative folks. I mean, they claim to be the true, quote-unquote, true fiscal conservatives. We don't want a larger debt. We don't want to be further in debt. And what happened, of course, has happened before. We're going to see this again this week. Trump calling up these members and essentially threatening them with their job. Either vote for this or Elon will put in $20 million to primary you. You choose. That's the kind of crap they're doing. So, and Adam Kinzinger, the former Republican congressman from Illinois, was on the bipartisan January 6th committee, along with former Republican Liz Cheney. Adam Kinzinger made this point a couple of days ago on social media. If you would have 3 or 4, depending upon, who's there to vote on the day in the House, but 3 or 4 Republicans would cross over and make a deal with Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats, you could unseat Mike Johnson as a speaker, choose a compromise centrist speaker, wouldn't even have to be Hakeem Jeffries, and a lot of this stuff will be taken care of. Think of the legacy of those 3 or 4 individuals who will be brave enough to have courage to put country first. Now, does Kinzinger or I think that's going to happen? No. But just think how close we are. If people would just have a little bit of, chutzpah. 855-752-4842. What do you think of this? Going to come up today or this week in the House, this budget deal. Will anybody on the Republican side have the chutzpah to stand up? Will any of the House people have the chutzpah to call out the Senate and say, look, you basically just sent us over a sham bill? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Ollie calling in the North Woods. Ollie, thanks for calling. What do you think of this House Senate bill, a budget deal?
Well, I think it's appalling, and I think all the people should be aware of, while they're cutting all these funds, the people like Kash Patel is redecorating his office in D.C., even though he's not going to be there. He's going to be in Vegas, where he wants his personal trainer along with him. And
Quote,
the
unquote.
FBI, yes, and the FBI person, Bongino, he wants the taxpayers to pay for a 24/7 bodyguards for him, Secret Service for him, even when he is in the FBI building. We're expected to pay for him. Then there's Doug Burgum, who expects chocolate chip cookies served to him warmed whenever he wants. And also he asks for the use of a helicopter that is specifically for fire and medevac purposes. And all the time they're grifting on the United States taxpayer. Well, we're expected to have tax cuts and cuts to services and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
As Matt Flynn likes to say, you nailed it. You nailed it, Ollie. You went through the list brilliantly. These people look at the U.S. government, us, the taxpayers, as their personal playground. I mean, Trump's out golfing with the Saudi, but we didn't even get to this. Over the weekend, the Saudis and Live, that's the Saudi made-up alternative to the PGA. And Trump, quote unquote, won the tournament. And then I guess they had another a trophy for the professional golfers. And this is how sick it was. There's pictures of this trophy. They are, I guess to describe it, like long diagonal metal pieces. And it matches up perfectly with the remains of the Twin Towers from 9/11. That's how sick these people are. And Trump's down there using taxpayer money in helicopters, landing on greens or whatever. L.A. Tom says we're the piggy bank. Yes, you're right, L.A. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to WRCE and Richland Center. Whistler, about 45 seconds. It's yours. What say you?
Yeah, well, the whole thing, Dan Bongino or whatever, requesting 24 hours protection, deputy director of the FBI, where the former directors, everybody never had the 20 people guarding them in the FBI headquarters. Dumb, just plain dumb.
Mm-hmm. No.
Talk later, Todd. Bye.
Well said, Whistler. I asked this question. What are these people afraid of? Better yet, who are they afraid of? You find the answer to that, you might find more than you bargained for. Back to wrap things up on a good note, it's the Allbaugh Show, and it's Civic Media's Radio Network.
Madison, real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Honey, have you been to Sugar River Pizza?
Let's do, we'll do the Mark Johnson first, then we'll do
I love the pizza.
the
Is
other one.
ridiculous. That crust.
Right, and they have
48 beers on tap.
The
and a great
T-Rats.
selection of
The
wines.
T-Rats, and the atmosphere,
Not only is the restaurant gorgeous,
that room with the
giant
giant
windows
windows,
that
oh,
open, and they won a Best of Madison Gold Award this year.
I love Sugar River
Pizza on Cabela Drive in Sun Prairie.
You took the words right out of my
mouth.
Yep. SugarRiverPizza.com.
This Mother's Day, say I love you with flowers as beautiful as she is. Waterloo Blooms hand
I'll
arranges
do it,
fresh,
Ellie. I
stunning
promise.
bouquets
I promise
with
I
care
will.
delivered straight to her door in Waterloo,
I'll reveal
Madison,
I'll
and beyond,
reveal the
with
answer on the
same-day
show.
delivery available. Order now at WaterlooBlooms.com.
I know, I get it. I appreciate
I'm Dan
that.
Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In the April 1st spring election, Susan Crawford won the incredibly expensive race for Wisconsin.
How long should I set aside, LA? How long would an average person take it? And then I'll add 10 minutes because it'll take me longer.
A 10-point margin ahead of her opponent, Brad Schimmel. It is a remarkable victory. And in so many ways, this race became a referendum on Elon Musk.
How long
from
will
his
it take,
prominent
LA?
Position in the Trump administration to the tens of millions of dollars he put towards backing Brad Schimmel in this race. And Wisconsin voters spoke decisively, rejecting Musk at this critical moment. All
15
72
minutes. See,
counties in
I will
Wisconsin
set
shifted
15
to the
minutes
left
aside
from
for
last
you.
fall's election. That includes Brown County, home to Green Bay, where Musk held a rally just days before the election, handing out million-dollar checks. The sweeping results we're seeing are going to send a powerful message that will resonate nationally. Wisconsin voters spoke loud and clear, saying, "We cannot be bought."
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
Wisconsin has a new free online tax filing tool called
I'm
IRS
burping up
Direct File,
limoncello.
available in English and
Lemonades, just relax. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is 9 before the hour, up 2 o'clock at the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to. A check of weather. Our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, didn't give a chance to talk today about Mark Murphy. We will. Trygve Olsen could not join us. He is tied up. He'll be back in with us next Wednesday. He might make an appearance this week yet. We'll see. But we'll get Trygve back on the show, talk a little bit Mark Murphy before the end of the week as well. Packers president who is retiring this year. Going to be in Madison tonight with the Packers. $75 a pop for a ticket if you want to head out to a Garver feed mill tonight. You can find out more about that. Also, the Milwaukee Brewers continuing on with their series against the Colorado Rockies. Absolutely fantastic. Bryce Terang, big home run line. He has this hitting streak going on. Bryce Terang. Broadcast starts at 7:05 tonight in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and now our new affiliate station in Hayward. Milwaukee Brewers at Colorado tonight at 7:05. All right, talked about this. Want to bring this to you. A little good news courtesy of Channel 3000 WISC, interviewing Coach Mark Johnson, head coach of the Wisconsin Women's Badger hockey team. He and his wife, Leslie, Coach Johnson and Leslie, broke ground on a brand new facility. It's a facility they're calling Agape Ranch. It's going to be a horse ranch for particularly kids with depression and anxiety. And here's Coach Johnson talking about this new project and what spurred it on.
My thought process was, we've done hockey for a long time. She sort of followed me around, whether I was playing or whether I'm coaching now. And, why doesn't she do something that, she loves to do? So how can we connect horses with what, maybe become helpful for the community? So, whatever's going on in your world, once you come on the property, you can let that down. And then, through even as simple as walking around the property or whatever that we can do to help them out and, give them space where they can start to heal and create hope in their life.
How about that? Coach Mark Johnson and his wife, Leslie. And here's a guy who said, look, they met in high school. Coach Johnson and his wife from Madison here, went to Madison Memorial, I believe, high school. And he said, look, my wife's been following me around through college, through the Olympics, through the pros. I'm a player, and now that I'm a coach. And this is something she wanted to do, his wife, Leslie. And he said, well, look, she's been doing all this for me. Why don't we do something together she wants to do? So, look, Mark Johnson's been paid well over the years. Instead of buying some great big boat or whatever, the Johnsons are buying this property and building this facility with horses, particularly for kids that are suffering from depression and anxiety, and saying, we want to do something to give back. What an incredible gift this is, and what incredible people the Johnsons are.
Also, did you intend the pun that you made before we played that clip?
No.
You said we were going to take a look at what spurred it on.
Oh, no, I didn't. I did it without intending to, in terms of horses. But thank you to Coach Johnson and
Yes.
Leslie.
In all seriousness, yes.
For doing this, because it gives me hope in a world where everybody is out for themselves, and it just makes me feel better that there are still people who are making it big time that are still thinking of other people and not themselves. And it makes me want to just continue to go to Wisconsin women's hockey games. And if you have a young woman, a hockey player, get her to a Mark Johnson camp, introduce her. It's inspiring to go to these games. And Mark Johnson is a part, and his wife Leslie are a part of what makes Wisconsin great. Also a part of what makes Wisconsin great, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, one of the affiliate teams of the Milwaukee Brewers up in Appleton. They have so graciously hosted this program last year. As Tony reminds us, it was when we had James Carville on and Trigby, and we learned so much about the Timber Rattlers. Well, here, most of these guys that play for them are not from Wisconsin. So they placed Wisconsin names in front of them, and this is how it went.
What the heck is this?
Oconomowoc.
I'm going to go Asanamawak.
Oconomowoc.
Oconomowoc.
Ouija.
Wayawega. Weyawega. Weyawega.
Wayuwaga. Menomonee.
Menomonee?
Yeah. Menominee.
Menomonee. Shawano.
Shawano is my guess. Shawano.
Shawano.
There you go.
Shawano.
Manitowoc.
Manitowoc. Minocqua? Let me give that one.
Minocqua.
There you go.
Minocqua.
Minocqua.
That's always fun. Because I think those of us that grew up here, we just take it for granted, right? All these great native names that, I think it's one of the great things about our state is that several of those native names have been preserved. And, Pewaukee, Oconomowoc, Manitowoc, Minocqua, Shawano. I mean, on and on, all these names.
Some of them got pretty close. I was surprised how close they got in Weyawega.
Yeah, Weyawega, that's a tough one. Because
it's like Weeawaga, or
yeah,
like they just kind of reversed it.
Yeah, it's not pronounced how it looks at all, Weyawega. So anyway, those guys got a little introduction to the great state of Wisconsin. And I think that's great that the Timber Rattlers are willing to do that. And the guys were all willing to participate. In all seriousness, if you have a chance, if you live in the Fox Valley, or if you want to take a great trip with the family, an affordable venue, check it out. The Timber Rattlers, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, they go by the T-Rats up there. It's a great chance to watch baseball in a family-friendly environment at an affordable price, and many times you get to see up-and-comers that you're going to see in the major leagues soon. Many thanks to Aaron Zommers, all of you for listening. Join us tomorrow. Have a great show for you lined up. Stay tuned for Maggie Dawn as well. It's Getaway Day. Todd's got to head on down to Monroe to get my taxes done now. We'll see you tomorrow. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. See you tomorrow.
hear you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Adios.